All right, this is the study guide, page 1 key. So for questions 1 through 6, we're using this diagram. In number 1, name the line to the left in at least 3 different ways. There are more than 3 different ways, so you can use any 2 points in any order. So I might name it line AD. I have to put the symbol on top. I might name it line CB. I might name it DA. So any combination of those points in any order with the symbol for the line on top. Question 2, what are other names for ray DA? So remember that is the ray symbol. So when we name a ray, we start at the end point, and then the other point just has to be in the direction of the ray. So when we say ray DA, we mean the ray that begins here. So I have to use D. I can't use a different letter for my end point. But now, instead of A, I could choose from either B or C. So since I need 2 other names, I have to do both. So ray DB or ray DC. All right, name a ray that is opposite ray BD. So ray BD, oops, grab a different color. Ray BD starts at B and goes in the direction of D. Remember, opposite rays have to have the same endpoint, but they go in opposite directions. So a ray that's opposite BD still has to start at B, but it's going to go in that opposite direction. So we have to name that BA. All right, name a straight angle in the diagram. So if I think about it, a straight angle is 180 degrees. So I just need 3 points, and I can pick basically B or C for my vertex. So I'm going to say angle BCD. So if I think about it, BCD is from B to C to D, and I'm tracing a straight line. All right, question 5. If A has a coordinate of 24 and B has a coordinate of 32, what is the length of AB? So this is just a subtraction problem. All we have to do here is 32 minus 24. So the length of AB is 8. If C has a coordinate of 40 and the length of segment CD is 49, that means from C to D, it's 49 units. Oh, that's a typo. That should say 9. Sorry, on yours it says 9. Sorry, if the length of CD is 9, what is the coordinate of D? Well, there we go. Our answer is 49. So if I think about it, if I'm at 40 and I go 9 more units, I'll be at 49. All right, in questions 7 through 12, we're asked to, classify the figure as either a point, line, segment, ray, angle, or plane, and then sketch what it could look like. So when we just see 3 letters, that's a plane. And as far as sketching a plane, I usually just draw a parallelogram with some different, with arrows coming out from the side to show it's a plane. And then that means that X, Y, and Z have to be 3 non-collinear points on that plane. Ray ZX, we know that ray ZX has to have, oh, and I forgot to write the word plane here. So the ray ZX has to have an endpoint of Z, and then X has to be further out on the ray. When we see this notation with no arrows, this is a segment. So segment XY is just a line segment with endpoints X and Y. This is a line when we have arrows on top. So line XZ is just a line with the letters X and Z on it in any order. When we see a standalone letter, that's a point. So there you go, point Y. And then lastly, when we see this symbol, we know it's an angle. And we need to be careful here because when we name an angle, we always name it in such a way that we could trace those points. So that middle letter is always our vertex. So maybe this is point X and this is point Z. So X, Y, Z goes X to Y to Z. All right, questions 12 and 13. A is, so we're asked to sketch the figure, label the angles or segments that are congruent, and then write a congruent statement. So A is the midpoint of CT, of segment CT. So that means A has to be right in the middle, and it spells CAD. If A is the midpoint, and then we're next asked to label the segments that are congruent with the symbols, well, that means that segment CA is congruent to segment AT. So I've got to mark it with those symbols. And then lastly, to write the congruent statement, I'm going to say segment CA is congruent to segment AT. All right, in number 13, similar, but we're dealing with an angle. Ray GQ bisects angle AGW. I would sketch the angle first. And so if that's my angle, I'm going to draw a ray in the middle. My angle is AGW, and my ray is GQ. So that means that these two angles have to be congruent. So for my congruent statement, I would say angle AGQ, this angle is congruent to angle QGW. All right, moving on. These two questions, and this is actually continued in the next video on the next page, 14 through 17. We're going to translate this geometric statement to a complete English sentence. So I want a complete sentence here. So if I look at this, this is line AB, this is the sign parallel, and this is line XY. So I would say line, I'm going to write AB in quotation marks. Line AB is parallel to line XY. And in geometry, we'll never write line AB like that, but that's how we would speak it if I were reading that out loud. All right, question 15. When we see DE without the bar on top, it's not a line or a segment. That means either the length of segment DE, or we could think of it as the distance between points D and E. So here I would accept either the length of segment DE equals 7, or I would accept the distance. So the distance between points D and E is 7. All right, move on to the next video for the next page.